Hello and welcome to the Gonzales Mitchell Show. I'm Clay Mitchell.
And I'm Patrick Gonzales.
And today, Patrick and I have a very special guest. As a friend of mine, I guess I've known him for over a decade now.
Yeah.
It's Devon Beck. What can I say about Devon? He was a hip hop singer, a teacher, he's a mentor, he's a motivational speaker, he's a businessman. What else can I say, Devon? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And when you reached out, I was so excited to be on your show because I mean we talk off and on online, and to
Right.
actually sit down and have this kind of conversation is awesome.
That's great. Now, Devon, I know you got a long story and you've had a lot of twists and turns, a lot of challenges. How did we get here today, bud? What's
Oh
your background story?
well, grew up. I was born and lived in Denton, Maryland, and my parents. I can't thank them enough for the foundation that they've given me through the year. John Beck and Karen Beck, they gave me so much through the years, and just watching them through their marriage and everything, the ups and downs. Like I always say, my childhood was perfect, and it wasn't perfect, but it was perfect for me
Right.
because I was able to be just surrounded by love. And when you're surrounded by love, I think you want to give that love to other people. And I know for a fact that I probably wouldn't be where I am today without growing up around that amount of love and respect that I saw people have for each other. Like my whole family was very, very close. We
Mhm.
lived in close proximity to each other. So there was always barbecues and all of those
Right.
things. And so I'm a big family value guy. And from there, I went to North Carolina High School, where I was a drum major. I was a captain of a basketball team, captain of the cross country team. I was homecoming king, class president, and through there, like I had a couple of difficulties in school. I ran into a teacher that kind of killed my confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
But I often say sometimes those tests can turn into your testimony, right? And
Right.
so from there, I would go on to the campus of University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and I met a couple of professors that would change my life. They started pouring into me in a way where I felt like I could do anything, and I started gaining more confidence in the educational route. Upon graduating from there, I kind of didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I would run into somebody that would change my life. And that person, Dr. Lorenzo Hughes, he kind of, my mom at the time was her health was failing. She had lupus, and
Mm.
so through that time, like I mean, I've always had a love for hip hop. I've always had a love for those things, but I was able to tour and do all of these great things. Right? I thought I was gonna be Jay-Z. Is who I thought I was gonna be, and it didn't turn out that way. And I think a lot of what I want to do for people is sometimes your journey doesn't you think success is supposed to go like this, and a lot of times success looks like all over the place, right? And so how do you stay focused through that? How do you stay focused through grief? Because if somebody in your family, me losing my mom was probably the one of the biggest, hardest, that is literally the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Um, and so through all of those things, it kind of brought me to a place where once I figured out who Devin was, how do
Right.
I inspire people through that? How do I make the world a better place? And when you say that, when you say, yeah, we can change the world, people look at you like, what are you talking about? But I truly believe if we're all doing what we got to do in each corner of where we are, or we affect wherever we go, we can make a difference. And that's literally how I wake up. And when my feet hit the ground every day, that's how I want to show up.
I remember some of your
Devin,
early. Go ahead, Patrick.
yeah, Devin, when you talk about North Carolina High School in
Yeah.
Denton, Maryland,
Yes.
I was there in 10th grade,
Yeah.
and I lived in a little town called Marydale, which was right on the Maryland Delaware
Where my
line.
dad's from.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
Yep.
wild. And I remember taking the bus to school every day, and I'm flashing back right now. I was at North Carolina High in 10th grade, the
Uh-huh.
first year Joe Biden ever got elected to the Senate,
Uh-huh.
1972. And I have such wonderful memories of that.
That's
And
awesome.
just one other quick thing. When you
Yeah.
talked about the path being this way, you hit exactly my philosophy on life, which
Uh-huh.
is everything in life turns out like we think it will, and nothing turns out like we thought it would. And what I mean by that is we in our minds get this plan to arrive at a destination, and we
Mhm.
always arrive at the destination. But
Mhm.
being the weak human beings we are, we've got to plot the course all along the way.
Yeah.
And the course, we always end up at the destination, but the journey is never the way we think
Absolutely.
it's going to be. So
Absolutely.
You remember your early music videos that you and my son, whose nickname is Cakes, did.
Yes.
I could tell
Thanks.
back then you had a message to your music. You weren't just talking about, partying, girls, and all that. You had a
Mhm.
message there. This one video in particular, Diary of a Liquor Bottle,
Yes.
where you took on the character of a liquor bottle and you went through various scenes as to what that substance can do to people. And that
Mhm.
you came across with a powerful message at that time, and you've seem to have brought that forward now with your motivational speaking and your role there with the public school system.
Mhm.
From that point, what when you did the videos and all that, where did that immediately take you, and how'd you get to where you are today?
Well, it was funny because when I started doing music, and shout out to Sam Wiz Cook, because he
Yeah,
was the producer. Like Sam and Ryan, I always attribute them with changing my life, because without those two individuals, nobody would have heard me. Without Ryan, nobody would have saw me at the
right,
time. And
right.
so I was able to kind of change how hip hop was looked at the time, because everything that I did, I didn't just want to rap. I wanted to have a message with what I was saying, and I wanted to, let people know that, yeah, there's substance in the music, regardless of how you feel about the genre of music. There's always substance. But I was able to. I mean, I had one of my highest selling albums. My album came out 2017. My album came out at 47 in the country, out of the top 200 albums in the country.
Yeah,
So we were able to do that independently. And a lot of people don't think that can be done without a machine. And we showed that if you have organic music that actually means something, you can make a big splash. And that, till this day, that's probably one of my biggest accomplishments. A blank canvas should be illegal. And Ryan and I kind of, I mean, Sam, he gave me like the canvas, and Ryan, he was able to paint however these visuals were supposed to look. And then with my lyrics, it all came together, and it was just like the perfect synergy, you know. And after that, I hit. It was like when you have the best time of your life, you start thinking about all of the other things. Like my mom not being here was big for me, and so that grief took over, and I was depressed, but I didn't know I was depressed. And it wasn't until I went to therapy I figured out that I was functionally depressed, because I know how to put on this face, I know how to move around. And men in particular, we don't always talk about how we feel and all those things. We just kind of we work even harder, right? And
right.
so once my therapist kind of revealed that to me, I was able to then move through what I needed to do. And though I can still do music, it took a bit of a back burner for me, because it was more important for me to get that message out there. And like I said, in 2014, I've been motivational speaking for 10 years. And Dr. Hughes, he met with me at my mom's funeral. I'll never forget. He came up to me and he said, "I got you." And I didn't know what he was talking about. Everybody says they're going to, I got you. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, great. And that day is a blur to me, but I remember that because it's transformative in what it did for my life. We had lunch and he's like, have you ever thought about telling your story? And I'm like, no, I didn't make it. I didn't turn out to be Jay-Z or Drake or whoever I thought I was going to be. Right. And so he said, how many people made it as far as you did where you're from? And I thought about it and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
nobody. And so he was like, that's the story. You have to tell the story of persevering through everything, not giving up and all of that. And so on February 13th, 2014, that was I spoke at North Dorchester Middle High School. I thought I was just going to talk to a group of ninth graders. The
yeah.
entire school shows up, and I'm like, mind you, I did not prepare for this speech. I didn't write anything down. I was just going to talk. So then that took on another. It was another level for me because I'm like, I thought I was going to talk to like 30 kids. It's like
Yeah,
bunch of kids. And so from there, I don't know. It was the first time that I felt different after my mom passed. And it was the first time I kind of felt alive again.
mhm.
And that's what I always touch on. I'm like, a lot of times we don't know what our passion is until we're presented with that opportunity. And if I had never took that opportunity, I know for a fact I wouldn't be sitting here today, for sure.
Some of your other motivational videos, I guess. The one I remember is you holding up this shoe. It was a dress shoe,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
and somebody was making fun of your shoe, and you were like, "I got a job in the interview in this shoe. I got a job
Yeah.
after wearing this shoe," and on and on and on. And then you made fun of, the tennis shoes or running shoes that the other
Uh-huh.
guy was wearing. What about those shoes? And that was a powerful message. It's like you have to dress the part. You have to put on your best face. You have to go forward into the world with confidence. And
Absolutely.
one of the thing was you dress the part, you look the part, and you go for it.
Yeah.
And no, all of the other videos I've seen you do, you don't know your potential. You just have to get out there and go for it.
Hmm.
What uh, what do you have coming up? Or rather, let me step back. What's your role with the Talbot County Public Schools right now?
Currently, I am the facilitator of recruitment, retention, and equity. And so, what I do is I'm trying to get teachers to come to Talbot County to teach. But in lieu of that, I want the teachers that are already here, I want them to want to be here. And I also want them to create spaces in the classroom where children feel like they can learn no matter what level that they're on. And like I said, in North High, I had some experiences where I felt like I wasn't supported, right? And so it's personal for me. I want our children to graduate from Talbot County Public Schools feeling like they can achieve anything, right? Regardless of your background, how you came into this, how, like, any of those factors that may factor into you not being your best self. I want you to leave these institutions feeling like you can accomplish anything, because that's what makes a better society for all of us, right? Because if we're just pushing people out that aren't feeling like they can do anything, it's going to be different results, right? And
Right.
so I really do I oversee the entire district, and I like to get out and I like to talk to our young people to see where they are, see what their aspirations are, to see if I can help guide them in any way in what they need to do in order to put their best foot forward. Because at the end of the day, we all have the same goals. The same goals are to graduate our children, and I think it's a rewarding job. Like I feel like every position that I've had, I was a behavioral specialist. I was a family and student liaison. I taught geometry and algebra 2, and now I'm here. And I feel like every single job has set me up to exactly. I know without a shadow of a doubt, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm truly walking in my purpose.
Patrick, he knows how to do algebra too. What's that say? What's that say about you and me?
Oh my lordy! No, I think I kind of crept through algebra 2, but
Yeah,
barely by a thread.
yeah,
I just look at Devon and it gives me so much hope, and
Yeah.
I just think it's wonderful. And
thank you. I appreciate that.
Devin, over the past 10, 12 years, what have you seen in the youth, especially here on the Eastern Shore,
Mhm.
that has changed for the good? And what have you seen that caused some challenges that are different than it was a decade ago?
Uh, I can say the presence of social media, cameras like phones, these cameras that they're everywhere, and I remember, like, I was just saying this yesterday. I'm like, if somebody had a fight when I was in high school, you wouldn't see it everywhere, right? It would be over and done with. They might talk about it in school for a couple of days, but
Right,
there's not a replay value in that, right?
right,
Now, if something happens, you can see it everywhere in other schools and other countries. Like, I mean, these videos can go out, and sometimes I think that could be hurtful because, I mean, if you're on the receiving end of any of these things, it could be a bad thing. Another thing, I think that our students probably don't look at the same way. We're like, yeah, we got to get out and work. Now with technology, I've had conversations with people where I'm recruiting. They're like, "Oh, I'll work from home." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, it's just different. And
yeah,
in education, we have to be in front of children. With education, we have to, you know what I mean? Like that communication part. I think communication is completely different than it was, say, 10 years ago. Because people don't necessarily know how to communicate anymore because a lot of it is just text or email, or can you sit down in front of somebody and have a conversation? So we're missing that part. And
yeah.
I try to get out and shake as many hands as possible, because I think that's the part of the building connection that we're kind of missing right now.
What are the next challenges that you're working on or looking towards solving with all this technology out there today and uh, the major causes of depression and all that with students?
Mhm.
What what challenges do you see that you in your role can go forward and attempt to address or cure?
I think with what we're dealing with right now, it is having those conversations with young people and honestly hearing them and not dismissing the things that they're saying because they see it from a different perspective than say you or I would,
Mhm.
because they're it's just different for them, right? Because you have to, I think with social media, you feel like you have to have it together all the time. And the truth is you don't. And the truth
Mhm.
is, none of us do. Now we can have the appearance that we have it together all the time, but if we're being real, like sometimes some days you might sleep in a little bit, or you might not feel like getting up, or you might not feel like doing it. But if that camera's on, you gotta be you gotta be ready to go. And so
Right.
just giving these young people the space to feel whatever it is they feel, because as adults, some things we don't care about, but to them, it's everything, right? So just hearing them out and not dismissing what they're saying, because I think sometimes young people have a lot more insight than we do with certain things, but we're so stuck in our ways that we won't hear those young people because we're like, they don't know what they're talking about. But sometimes we just got to listen to them just a little bit more. We can give them guidance, but we got to just kind of hear them out.
Now, if someone sees this video, they're in a school system or a community group, and they'd like to, because honest to goodness, you got a great story and you can motivate people. You have that gift.
Thank
If
you.
they
I
wanted
appreciate
to reach out to you, how can they get in contact with you?
you can reach me on my personal email is what I'm running everything through right now. It's Devon Beck, DEVONBECK 365 at gmail.com. They can follow me on social media, just in case they're not sold just yet. Devon Beck 365 on Instagram, and then Devon Beck on Facebook. And most importantly, they should follow me on LinkedIn. Devon Beck on LinkedIn is where I put a lot of what I'm doing and a lot of what I'm working on. Next week, I'm going back home to speak at Caroline County at their career fair that they have. And I've been doing this. This is probably my 7th year doing this. I'll be the closing keynote speaker. And I'm always excited to get out and push positive messages and motivate our young people. But I motivate businesses, I motivate school system, anybody that I can get in front of. I just talked to in TCPS, I just talked to the whole transportation department the other day.
Wow.
And you know, it's and what I talked about with them was the power of words, the power of our words, and the power of how we can run into adults, and they can make a significant impact on our young people. So just to think about how we show up on a daily basis.
Patrick, he motivates me more than you do. How about that?
No, I totally hear you. And what Devon represents to me is when all is said and done, the best way to show is to do, and that is to lead by example. And Devon Beck seems to understand that concept and execute it elegantly.
Thank
So
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I say it's like people will see me at the forefront, but there is a host of people who support me. They listen to me and they allow me to be me. And I think when you're
exactly,
surrounded by people who believe in your vision and they believe in what you're trying to do, that's the most important thing. Like you'll see Beck Excellence everywhere, but there's always people that are supporting what I do and they lift me up when I need it the most. And so it's that's the blessing. I've been able to connect with people who truly believe in the direction that I want to go, and they let me be me, and that's the most important part.
And
I'm enjoying
Devin's being modest here. If you're from the Central Lower Eastern Shore, he is the Marvin Gaye of the shore, man. I'm telling you, he is a
what's
well-known.
going
He's a
on?
well-known
What's
singer.
going on?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Fish
And
full
And
of mercury.
I honestly, I think, you know, my mom. I always give a lot of credit to my mom. When those moments when she was alive, those moments where I felt like I wasn't enough or whatever, she would always tell me how great I was,
Mhm.
and that was her genius. Because I almost think like sometimes I'm like maybe she knew that maybe she didn't have as much time, but she poured into me so much. And what I have from my father is I think I have my dad's tenacity. Like my dad is like when I tell you he can put his nose to the grindstone and he's going to accomplish anything and he won't be denied. It's like what I have that perfect mix of that. It just and then my grandfather and my grandmother, like I just come from I just come from people who I felt like were just good people. I felt like we're good people, and the way to honor them is to be how I am every single day. And I just want to honor them.
Exactly.
I just want to honor their legacy. That's it.
what an excellent story, Devin. And Patrick and I want to have you back on again for an update as to what's going on with what you're doing in your life. But my friend, I
Absolutely.
look at that little clock on the wall.
I see it.
I think it's the end of the show, and it's time we need to say goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick. Devin, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Devin.
Thank you. I appreciate it.